Today is October 12th, and instead of doing an agricultural fact of the day, and this just coincidentally happened to line up the other day on Tuesday in one of my classes, we were going over the history and the timeline of the FFA, and in 2013, one of the big things that was done was the Ram Truck Super Bowl commercial that was broadcasted that night, and it was important, right? Because in a time, in an era where farmers are really kind of forgotten by the general population, one of the most viewed events of the year, Ram Trucks basically sunk a bunch of money in and made a tribute to farmers that was viewed by a lot of people. The students that I had right now would not have been old enough to remember that. That was 10 years ago. So most of these kids now, they would have been 4 or 5. The 8th graders that I have, we watched it in that class too. They would have been probably 3. So they had never seen this before. So I said, instead of doing the ag fact of the day, we are going to watch this commercial and you're going to write a reflection about that. The history behind this speech, Paul Harvey, who was a huge broadcaster, I grew up listening to him, and I'm only 36, so, you know, he's been around a long time, but in 1978, he addressed the National FFA Convention back when it was in Kansas City, Missouri. Now it is held in Indianapolis, Indiana. Basically, with Dodge creating this tribute, they agreed that in collaboration with the FFA that Dodge would donate $100,000 for every million views that video got on YouTube, up to $1 million. And that goal was reached in less than 5 days. It's huge. I did just read some articles about it, and I find it interesting that critics noted that the ad focused on family farms despite the industrialization of agriculture in our country. I'll do that a different day. I will play it at the end of this video. There's a sound. Obviously, I can't figure out how to get that commercial on my video, but I can play the sound with some random videos that I find. But it is heart-wrenching and something that most agriculturalists can relate to, especially if you have livestock. There's a lot of reality in that video, that speech.
The 8th day, God looked down on his planned paradise and said, I need a caretaker. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody willing to get up before dawn, milk cows, work all day in the fields, milk cows again, eat supper, then go to town and stay past midnight at a meeting of the school board. So God made a farmer. I need somebody with arms strong enough to wrestle a calf and yet gentle enough to deliver his own grandchild. Somebody to call hogs, tame cantankerous machinery, come home hungry, have to wait lunch until his wife's done feeding visiting ladies, then tell the ladies to be sure and come back real soon, and mean it. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody willing to sit up all night with a newborn colt and watch it die, then dry his eyes and say, maybe next year. I need somebody who can shape an axe handle from a persimmon sprout, shoe a horse with a hunk of car tire, who can make harness out of hay, wire, feed sacks, and shoe scraps, who planting time and harvest season will finish his 40-hour week by Tuesday noon, and then painin' from tractor back put in another 72 hours. So God made a farmer. God had to have somebody willing to ride the ruts at double speed to get the hay in ahead of the rain clouds and yet stop in midfield and race to help when he sees the first smoke from a neighbor's place. So God made a farmer. God said, I need somebody strong enough to clear trees and heave bales, yet gentle enough to yean lambs and wean pigs and tend the pink-combed pullets, who will stop his mower for an hour to splint the broken leg of a meadowlark. So God made a farmer. It had to be somebody who'd plow deep and straight and not cut corners. Somebody to seed, weed, feed, breed, and rake and disc and plow and plant and tie the fleece and strain the milk and replenish the self-feeder and finish a hard week's work with a 5-mile drive to church. Somebody who'd bail a family together with the soft, strong bonds of sharing, who would laugh and then sigh and then reply with smiling eyes when his son says that he wants to spend his life doing what Dad does. So God made a farmer.